Hi everyone, this is Lara Hammock from the Marble Door channel, and in today's video I'll tell you about the tool that I use for allowance and money management for my teenagers, FamZoo prepaid cards. So I'm a big believer in giving your kids an allowance, not as a reward for good behavior or even getting their chores done, but apart from that as a way to promote early money management and financial responsibility. When my kids were younger, I used a whole host of different tools to pay them an allowance, from actual cash to an allowance ledger to ultimately the iAllowance app. You can watch the series that I did on Kids Allowance featuring iAllowance if you are interested in that. As my kids got older and became more independent, they needed to be able to access their money more easily. So for a while, we were on a cash-based system where I took out money in $5 increments and I would allow them to withdraw cash from their iAllowance accounts. But I got tired of being a human ATM and they got tired of having to ask me constantly. So we moved to this new system and I absolutely love it. So first of all, what is the FamZoo service and why is it different than what I was using? I had been using iAllowance, which is just an online ledger that you can share with your kids on a phone app. It keeps track of payments and withdrawals, but the actual money stays with me. If they need to withdraw money, you can record that in the app, but I have to physically hand over the money. Basically, I'm the bank, so I'm involved in every single transaction. FamZoo has two different kinds of accounts. The IOU accounts are just like what I was using, essentially a ledger tool where I still keep and dispense all of the money. What we use and love are FamZoo's prepaid card accounts. With these accounts, FamZoo becomes the bank and you use prepaid cards to divide up the money so your kids can access it. You transfer money from your own bank account to FamZoo's actual bank. I think they use the First National Bank of Central Texas. And then you order prepaid cards for each of your kids to access your account. You can then load each card with money, which your kids will use for spending anywhere that accepts debit cards. So this video is not at all meant to be a tutorial. It is just an accounting of my reasons for using FamZoo's prepaid cards and why it works so well for us. So first, let's talk about all of the advantages. Multiple kids, multiple cards. So the way that FamZoo works briefly is that you set up a main parent card. That way, when you transfer money from your bank, it ends up on your parent card. Then you set up your kids, I have two, and you set up cards for each kid. So I have two prepaid cards set up for each kid. My daughter has a card for spending and one for savings. She carries around her spending card and she keeps the saving card at home. My son, who never has any savings, has a card for spending and a card for gasoline purchases, which we generally fund. Once the money hits my parent card, I can disperse it to any card I want using FamZoo's website or their phone app. Debit cards. So once I transfer the money, my kids can use their card just like you would a debit card. They have a separate PIN to use for each card, but it's extremely easy to use. That way, I am no longer dispensing cash, and they can even use their cards for online purchases. Cash back. So I was initially worried about how they were going to access cash. The free ATMs for FamZoo cards are pretty sparse in our area, but in fact it's super simple. They can just get cash back on any debit card purchase, which they can usually do without any fees. No overdrafts. So here's the single most important reason why I love this service. You cannot overdraw. So many of my friends just give their kids a debit card for his or her bank account. Same basic concept, right? Yeah, except my son would overdraw daily and rack up crazy fees. He's just not ready for that level of responsibility. Plus, there are usually fees unless you maintain a minimum balance, which I'm sure we wouldn't be able to do either. FamZoo has a monthly fee, which I will discuss later, but it is minimal and it is totally worth it just to avoid getting hit with unexpected overdraft and minimum balance fees. Limited access. So the other reason I don't want to give my kids access to an actual bank account quite yet, is that they have some money in savings, but I don't really want them to be able to access that daily for spending. So this way they don't have immediate access to everything in their name at our bank. No debt. Thankfully, this is not a credit card, so there is no way they can rack up debt. Once the money on the card runs out, it is gone. It is a prepaid card after all. Safer than cash. So if your kid is carrying around a bunch of cash and she loses her wallet, it's gone. With a FamZoo card, you can lock it as soon as you know it's missing or transfer all of the money out of it. Great app. So the way that I can give money and take it away from my kid's card is through the FamZoo app, which is great. I have access to the entire account, but my kids can only see their own cards. They can check their balances easily to determine whether they have enough to purchase. I can transfer money super easily, and the money is available to them instantly. So literally, my son will be standing in line at the grocery store, will call me to transfer money for the purchase, and the funds will be ready when he swipes his card for checkout. Automatic payments. My kids get an allowance of half of their age per week, which I pay out on Fridays. So I hate having to remember this. So I'm thrilled that FamZoo has a feature that allows me to set this up to happen automatically. You can also set it up so the payment is split between cards. So for example, if you want 60% of that to go on the spending card and 40% to go to their savings card. Transfers. So my bank connects directly to FamZoo's account, so I can transfer from within my banking app for free. Once the money hits my card in FamZoo, I can transfer as many times as I want to my kids' accounts for free also. I take full advantage of this, doing that sometimes as many as 10 transfers a day. With a regular bank account, there is a limit on transfers before they start charging you, and it's low, like 6 per month. Purchases register quickly. So purchases on these prepaid cards register almost immediately, so the card balance is always up to date. It's also not a bad way to see what your kids are up to. My son leaves a little breadcrumb trail of small junk food purchases wherever he goes. Reimbursement. So this is a feature I love. Say my daughter needs a new swimsuit. We buy her needs, she uses her money for her wants. This purchase falls into the needs category, so I'm happy to pay for it. She has enough money to cover it, but after the purchase, she can ask for a reimbursement from me from right within the app. I get an email and a text asking for reimbursement with a convenient link back to the app. Then I just have to approve it and the money transfers back to her account automatically. Extra cards. So once you get your account all set up with your initial cards, you can always add new cards for just a one-time fee of $2 per card. There is no extra maintenance fee. So those are all the many advantages of FamZoo's prepaid cards. Let's talk really quickly about the disadvantages. Fee. So FamZoo is not a free service. It is an actual bank account with nice bells and whistles, so you are paying to bank your money and get access to it in such a fancy way. You can pay as much as $6 per month, but I paid in advance for 2 years and it worked out to just $2.50 a month. This is a total bargain for me, who would inevitably be paying through the nose in bank fees under any other system. Transfer delay. So it takes at least a business day for me to transfer money from my checking account to FamZoo. Mostly this isn't an issue, but sometimes if I don't realize I'm running low and I do it on a Friday, it can feel like a long time before hitting my FamZoo account the next Monday or Tuesday. In this case, I usually borrow from my child who saves more money and I pay her back as soon as the money hits, but it would be nice if it happened a little faster. Goofy cards. The card design is a little childish. It is not that bad. My kids have never complained about this, but it doesn't look like an actual bank card because it has the big FamZoo logo on it. Fortunately, they got enough negative feedback from embarrassed teens that they've created a more minimalist design that doesn't scream, "My parents got me this knockoff baby card." And that's it. I love the system and I plan to use it through college for my kids. After that, fingers crossed, they will be making their own money and they will be on their own to deal with real bank fees and real banks. Until then, it's a perfect system to take the next tiny step towards financial independence. Let me know what you think. Comments are always appreciated, and thanks for watching.